Hello and welcome again to What If Natives Won, a video blogging channel about alternate history and American Indians, Native Americans, indigenous peoples. This is the 16th video of 28 planned ones. My name is Carroll. I'm Associate Professor of History at Northern Virginia Community College. I've written mostly about wars, veterans, human rights, and genocide. I'm also, together with Rob Schmidt of Bluecorn Comics, editing and putting out a short story collection, What If Natives Won. This is what this video blogging channel are about. There's a huge lack of alternate history written about American Indians, indigenous people. Many people don't like to think about genocides in America. They likely were never taught about them. Many don't want to be reminded, want to believe these genocides never happened or it was an accident. I've had great success using alternate history to teach my students, show them that absolutely nothing in history was inevitable. It never had to be. The worst of human history is always a conscious choice. How things turn out is based on how evil the evil choose to be, and how well and how strongly good people choose to stand up to them or stop them. The way things turn out in history took a very specific set of circumstances. Sometimes history can turn on very small things. Change even one, and you have an entirely different history, different present, different society. It may be hard to hear this, but we live right now in a dystopian world, one of the worst of all possible outcomes for anyone who is not white. America is today 98% non-native. At least 75 million to 112 million natives were killed by not one genocide, but a series of them. The last of them ending only in the year 2000. They took place in America, Brazil, Canada, Guatemala, Argentina, Mexico, Peru, and elsewhere. On top of that is massive genocide denial. This is not taught in almost all American schools. There are racist images everywhere that are often not admitted to be racist. But much of this could change if Tecumseh's alliance wins. Tecumseh led the largest coalition of tribes the U.S. ever faced. He united tribes from the Great Lakes to the Gulf of Mexico. His stated goal was to stop American invasions at the Appalachian Mountains. He led armies as large as 1,300 men against American troops of equal size. He was a skilled tactician, even made a general in the British Army. Members of this alliance included his own Shawnee, Miami, Wea, Kickapoo, Sauk, Wyandot, Fox, Winnebago, Odawa, Mingo, and Ojibwe. Tecumseh was the military leader. His brother, Tenskwatawa, the Open Door, was their religious leader, a prophet who preached a rejection of white ways and a return to native traditions. The Open Door gathered his followers at Tippecanoe, called Prophetstown by whites. Tippecanoe was the largest native city in the Northeast, at 3,000 people, almost the same size as Washington, D.C. at the time. The U.S. population in 1800 was 5.3 million, almost a million of them slaves. Even though they had plenty of land, colonists kept invading. The U.S. signed and then broke a series of treaties with native nations. The Open Door preached no more giving in to white demands for lands. Those chiefs who did so were rejected by their people, sometimes accused of witchcraft and executed. Tecumseh and the Open Doors alliance gathered most of the tribes north of the Ohio River, but farther south their main followers were the Red Sticks among the Muskogee people. Tecumseh got the attention of the British, who offered an alliance. The U.S. and Britain were about to begin the War of 1812. American nationalists, called the War Hawks, foolishly imagined they could win a war against both Britain and Spain. The British wanted to stop American invasions farther west, and set up Tecumseh's alliance as a buffer state. Tecumseh also got the attention of Governor William Harrison of Indiana Territory. Harrison marched with an army of 1,000 men, attacking Tippecanoe. Tecumseh was away gathering more allies. He asked his brother to abandon the town if attacked. But the Open Door was not a military leader. He kept his followers at the city, then tried to attack Harrison by surprise. The battle was inconclusive, but the city was abandoned. Harrison claimed victory and used the claim to get himself elected president. Some of Tecumseh's allies left, and the Open Door also left for Canada. Tecumseh's alliance joined the British. He defeated an American army at Fort Detroit. Tecumseh and a new British general, Proctor, disagreed over tactics. They were defeated at Fort Meigs, and Tecumseh killed at the Battle of Thames. There are different accounts of who killed him and whether his body was buried or mutilated. The alliance broke apart. When Britain and the U.S. signed a treaty, the British no longer tried for a buffer state for natives, and more colonists invaded. Most of the tribes in Tecumseh's alliance would be forcibly removed after the Trail of Tears to Kansas and then Oklahoma. Ohio, Indiana, and Michigan today only have small remnants of recognized tribes. What obviously could have changed things is if the open door had followed his brother's advice. Let Harrison attack only an empty city. Then the alliance could counterattack, causing Harrison great loss and winning more tribes to their side. If British General Brock, an early ally who worked well with Tecumseh, had not been killed and then replaced by Proctor, later battles in the War of 1812 could go far better. These victories would leave the alliance's homelands under their own control. The British would have the leverage to demand the buffer state. Their planned demands at the Treaty of Ghent included natives being given back all lands in what is today Ohio, Indiana, and Michigan. What this means is that American invasions to the Midwest are halted, likely for a generation. America could not allow colonists west without risking another defeat by the British and Tecumseh's alliance. He was only 45 when he was killed, and likely could have led resistance for 2 more decades. That is more time for native nations in the area to grow and recover. The Louisiana Purchase, only a few years before, turns into a farce, with its northern half cut off from the rest of the U.S. Great Britain, being able to win demands from the U.S., is also unlikely to become a close ally of the U.S. for some time. In a future confrontation, they could even demand the Ohio Valley become part of Canada permanently. A win by the British and Tecumseh's alliance would also strengthen the Red Sticks and Seminoles in the South. The Trail of Tears becomes less likely. It's also possible American nationalists take out their anger on the 5 tribes and others. And then anti-assimilation people in the 5 tribes could point to the success of Tecumseh's alliance with the British. They could choose to be British allies themselves, setting the stage for another U.S.-British war. It's most likely the Americans lose again. The British demand the 5 tribes' homeland as a buffer zone, and the Louisiana Purchase is completely cut off from the rest of the U.S., part of a huge Canada, or sold to Spain or Mexico. The U.S. is reduced to its original 13 states. All of this is a very good outcome for natives. No Trail of Tears. No California Indian genocide. No ethnic cleansing in Texas. A greater Canada where natives are at least 5% of the population instead of 2% as in the U.S. Britain and then Canada keeps most of their treaties, unlike the U.S. where every single treaty was broken. This certainly counts as native victory. This is the end of the 16th video. I look forward to your comments and questions, and will answer them as often as I can. Racism, genocide, denial, childish behavior, personal attacks get deleted. But I do recognize some questions will be asked in ignorance because much of the facts I point to are new to most people. They were never taught about this. They've been raised in denial since denying indigenous genocides is taught in almost all public schools. Next time we will discuss, what if there was an independent Amazon nation? Please repost freely, like, share, and comment. I'll post again in about a week. This has been What If Natives Won video blog and channel.